the bucket and a foul. Breakaway. Io.
Oh, meet me at the rim and don't be late.
Give me the hot sauce. Did you not get the memo? Derek Rose can go upstairs.
Oh, he's got Giddy to steal. Right for the lead. Yeah!
Big time plays. Big time plays.
Giddy for the win. Go!
Oh, my God. I cannot believe this.
Improbable.
Hey, everybody. Time for a brand new edition of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. Stacey King, Mark Shanowski with you. And I don't know where Tim Kelley is. I guess Labor Day, he just hit it a little bit hard.
Well, supposedly he's in Michigan. You know, he came
supposedly.
back. Supposedly. He was in Florida, for a week or so. And then now he's in Michigan. I don't know what the hell he's doing in Michigan. But
another invitation we didn't get, right?
You know what? Maybe it's a squatter. Maybe it's a squatter in one of his few houses he owns in Michigan. I don't know. I mean, he's been known to have squatters.
Yeah. So you're going to miss the wit and wisdom of one Tim Kelley this week. Hopefully he'll be back next week. We got a special treat coming up. Stacey's former teammate Horace Grant is going to join us. He was in town for Bulls Fest last weekend. We'll talk about the glory days, the championships, and what he's up to now. That's coming up in just a few minutes. And we'll update you with our weekly Josh Giddy talk. We don't know exactly what's going on. There seems to be a stalemate still. He wants $30 million. The Bulls offer is less than that, and training camp's about 4 weeks away, so they got to come up with some solution.
It's getting later and later. It's got to be
that qualifying offer hanging out there now.
It's got to be a little of a concern. Here it is. September 2nd now, and you're not even closer than what you were 2 weeks ago. So I'm sure they're going to get a deal done. It would behove them to get a deal done as soon as possible because you don't want him to miss training camp. You want him there from day one with his teammates, establishing chemistry and camaraderie. You definitely want him there. But I've seen guys come in, 2 days late, 3 days late. It happens.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that gets resolved. If he plays on the qualifying offer, we talked about it last week, there's a risk on both sides. So we'll see how that shakes out. No news in the last week on Josh Giddy. We did get a little bit of news on a guy who was a fun player to watch last year, the Chicago native Talen Horton-Tucker, reportedly is heading to Turkey to play for Fenerbahce Istanbul, and I'm sure he's going to get a nice contract there and all the shots he wants. He was really fun to watch last year.
I tell you what, I mean, it's good that he landed somewhere, but he's an NBA player. He's a legit NBA scorer. He gets buckets, which is really surprising in a league that values scores and scoring, that he couldn't find a place to play this year.
Yeah, he's instant offense.
But I tell you what, though, he's going to be playing in the Euro League, which is the European equivalent to NBA level. He's playing for Fenerbahce, which is one of the top teams in Turkey. You got FS Pilsen, who normally is the number one team. Fenerbahce is the number 2 team. They've been switching back and forth who's number 1, number 2. So he's with a good franchise, good organization, and he gets to play. Not only does he play during the regular week, he'll play league games, the Turkish league, but on the weekends he'll get to play in the in the Euro League where they go to Russia, they play Spain. They play a lot of the European teams, which is fun for American players, not just to play in your club team.
And it was, last year his role was kind of up and down. Sometimes he'd get minutes, sometimes he didn't. But Billy would turn to him, usually when they were way behind, and go, "Come, give me some offense." And he would respond.
Mark,
man.
we're down 30. THC, we need you in the game right now, buddy. Come on, buddy. Take off the sweats and go ahead. And then he'd go in there and go on a little mini run.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he'd be back in the rotation.
Yeah.
he'd be out of the rotation for like 2 weeks, and then he'd go out and have a 25-point game when he hadn't played in 2 weeks, and then Billy would be like, "All right, okay, you're back in the rotation."
And he kind of had that old school game, He got the little jump hook, and he'd back people down.
I'm gonna tell you something, man. I mean, he is a legit NBA scorer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a strong body. He's a '90s type player. I always joke with him and call him Uncle. He got that old Unc game, and you see Unc come to the park, you're like, oh man, he's gonna get killed, and then Unc just drop all. You go into 15, he scored 13 to 15 points, and you ain't getting back on the court because Unc ain't allow you back on the court. So, and he's still a young player. He's still young, like 26 years old, I think. This would be good for him to go over there and play. At least he's not sitting around waiting. I guarantee you, at some point during the year, an NBA team will reach out because the NBA is always constantly scouting the European League, especially EuroLeague. So they'll look over, and if he's playing well for Fenerbahce, there'll be a chance where they might buy him out of his contract and bring him back over, especially for a playoff run.
Yeah, we haven't seen the terms of the contract. Hopefully there's an NBA out if a team comes calling as they get closer to playoff time. The Eurobasket competition continuing overseas. One of the interesting stories coming out of there was Thanasis Antetokounmpo signs a 1-year deal with Milwaukee, so that means Giannis is coming back. Doc Rivers and John Horst went over there to watch Thanasis because he tore his Achilles last year and missed all last season. And they were going to sign him anyway, whether he could run or not. But I'm sure it was under the pretense that we want to make sure he's healthy.
Mark, he could have came to the arena in a buggy and a donkey, and they couldn't walk. He was going to sign on that team. He was going to be on that roster, okay? As long as Giannis is there, and whatever Giannis wants, Giannis is going to get. If Giannis wants all his brothers on the squad, which I'm really surprised that he hasn't really pulled that card.
Because Kostas is playing for Greece right now.
And I can see him, and he's playing really well. Yeah. He's playing well in EuroLeague. I've been waiting to see if he would pull the string to get his other brother over there, Kostas, come play. It's not out of the realm of possibility in order to keep him there.
I remember Kostas played for the Windy City Bulls for a few games, and then he got a big money offer in Europe, and he left. But that was kind of the wheels were turning, thinking, now let's start recruiting the Antetokounmpo brothers.
Listen, the way the NBA is now, you don't have the NIL in the NBA because they make too much money. But what you have to do is kind of like recruiting. When you're recruiting a top player, in order to get that top player, the secret is to get the mom. Not the dad, the mom. If you can get to the mom and convince her that you're the best coach for her son, this is the best place for him to be, and you wine and dine the mom, and you put it out there, send her flowers every week, and you get her to, really love you as a coach, I want him to play for him. That's how you're going to get it. And it's the same thing in the pro level. Go out. Go get Giannis, his brothers, have him playing on the Bulls team. And then when Giannis is a free agent, he's like, hey, I'm going to go play with my family. Because, Chicago got one of the best Greek communities in the country. So there's a big contingent of Greek people here to see Giannis play. That would be awesome if we could have done that. That's what I would have done. I mean, that's me personally. I'd have hired his mom, see if she want to come in and be an assistant coach. But her job would just be just running the kitchen. Make sure we have Giannis's food, whatever he likes to eat, she can cook it. But she's an assistant coach, So, yeah, I would have done it. All stops, Mark. I would have done everything.
Yeah, it's funny. The Bucks a couple of weeks ago signed Amir Coffey as a free agent. He's a pretty nice player with the Clippers.
Yes.
He's on a non-guaranteed contract. So he ain't going to make the team because Thanasis is on the team.
Yeah, and, Doc Rivers knows him, too. So, I mean, he's got a shot if he can make shots, because they need guys that can make shots. That's one of the problems they had. Now, especially with a lot of those guys are gone, you need guys that can keep the floor open and allow Giannis to operate inside that bubble where he likes to operate inside the paint. If you don't have shooters, people just collapse. It makes it that much harder for Giannis. He has to work that much harder to score. So they need as many people they can to shoot. Coffey's a very good, very good three-point shooter, a good athlete, can run and jump. So it doesn't surprise me they went out and got him. Who knows? I mean, who knows? I mean, you don't know what Thanasis is going to do. They may put him on a injured, list, and he's not ready to play yet. The PUP, physically unable to play. He might be on the PUP list, baby, for 3 months, baby.
Yeah, the Antetokounmpo brothers have a store right outside Fiserv Forum. We're selling all the merchandise. So Thanasis is back. Wow. He's back in
making
Brewtown.
money. He got a restaurant out there, too.
Oh, yeah.
Man, he ain't going nowhere. Just when I thought we had a chance to get him here in Chicago, man, he got too much stuff going on out there. He ain't coming over here, man. I'm sorry, Bulls Nation.
So EuroLeague competition going on as expected. Luka Doncic putting up big numbers, but he doesn't have a really good team around him. Yeah. So
you know who's balling? Lauri Markkanen.
You see him dunk over
Marco.
Marco.
Marco. It was bull on bull crime, baby. It was two former Bulls. It was nasty too.
He did him wrong.
I'm gonna tell you something, man. Lauri looks like a completely different player since he's left here. You saw glimpses of it. Like when Fred had him here and Fred was a coach, you saw Lauri's rookie year. You said, man, this kid's got a chance to be an all-star. He's a big kid, 7 foot, kind of like Dirk Nowitzki. You didn't know where his game was going to go. And I think the worst thing that happened to Lauri was when Jim Boylan came on as a coach and you tried to make him a center. You tried to make him a post-up guy. That wasn't his game. He's more of a forward-type player. Now he had to leave here to go somewhere and develop.
In the 1 year with Billy, they basically had him standing in the corner.
Just stay in the corner. Just stay in the corner and jack it up.
And so he never was – well, he was healthy as a rookie, but a couple of his years, injuries really curtailed him a little bit. And then he was an all-star in Utah. And, the thing about it, they made that trade. They got Derek Jones, and they got a future first, which they thought would be good from Portland. But then Lillard left. They tanked. And Bulls are never going to get that first round.
No. I mean, the way things worked out, the idea was great. It just didn't work out the way they planned it. And, Lauri started to change when he went to Cleveland. They put the ball in his hands. They let him bring the ball up the floor. You could see the maturation process and the confidence grow with him. You know, he started bringing the ball up the floor. He started beating people off the dribble consistently, having more confidence in his ball handling. And then that just carried over to Utah. And here's the crazy thing, Mark. The Western Conference was an elite level league. I mean, there's a lot of great players over in the Western Conference. For him to make an all-star team in that league, in that
oh yeah,
that tells you how good he has become.
Yeah, now Utah and Portland probably among the two worst teams in the Western Conference, and Lauri is kind of playing in anonymity out in Salt Lake City, but he's playing some good basketball, and he always enjoys representing Finland, doing a great job at Eurobasket. So you talked about the West. I want to talk about the East. You know, we're less than a month away from the start of training camp, and there's going to be great competition for those top seeds because of all the injuries in the conference.
Well, I mean, it's you got to look at Cleveland. Cleveland was the number 1 seed last year. They got bounced by Indiana. It was upset, basically. They got to be the favorite again this year. I mean, you look at the points they average, and they got a good young nucleus. The key for them right now is to make sure you get Darius Garland back. He's got turf toe. He had surgery. He's going to be out for probably a month of the first season. But they went and got Lonzo Ball.
Right.
And I keep telling people, Lonzo Ball is still one of my favorite players in this league. Whether he play for the Bulls or not, he's healthy. He wants to be on a winning team. It's not about money with him. It's always been about winning and stats. And he's on a perfect team right now that's on the cusp and has a chance to come out of the Eastern Conference and represent the East in the finals this year and possibly win it. They'll probably face Oklahoma City, which would be a tough matchup for them. But look for him to do the same things that Alex Caruso did for Oklahoma City, to give him that leadership, to give him that one ingredient they were missing. You know, that one person. See, they had Ty Jerome last year, and Ty Jerome's not a bad player. But Lonzo is a huge upgrade over Ty Jerome. Huge upgrade because he's 6'6", number 1, and he can play multiple positions. He doesn't have to have the ball in his hands to be the guy. He's going to get guys easier shots. He can defend anybody on the floor, and you're going to get a hungry Lonzo Ball. You know, at the end of the day, nobody likes to be traded.
Right.
And I don't care what nobody says, I'm just happy to be here. No, you don't like to be traded. No player likes to be traded, and it's almost like teams give up on you, and your mindset is that they gave up on me. So I got to show them what they're missing. So now you're on a championship caliber team with Boston possibly not being as strong as they were last year. How could they be? They lost a lot. You know, you lose Jason Tatum. So you can't expect them to be. If they even make the playoffs, then you got to give Missoula Coach of the Year because you lose Porzingis. You lose, I think, Drew Holiday is gone.
Holiday's gone, yeah.
You got Jason Tatum out for a whole year. I mean, what do they have on the roster left? You know, you got Derek White.
This is a gap year.
Yeah,
no
you got
question.
Derek White, and of course, you got the other kid, the other four.
You got Anthony Simons.
But they're all talking about moving him already before he even puts the jersey on. So they can't be the same team. And if they are anywhere close to a playoff team, mid-level, top 5, man, you got to give Joe Mazzulla a lot of credit because he's a hell of a coach. You can get that team that close.
And Milwaukee loses Damian Lillard. Indiana loses Tyrese Halliburton with that Achilles injury. He'll be out for the entire season. So you look at the next group of teams. You've got the Knicks, you've got Orlando, and you've got your Pistons that I know you like very much.
Okay, the Knicks. It's got to hurt not having Tom Thibodeau. Mike Brown is going to take over that Knicks team. Tom Thibodeau, to me, if you got Tom Thibodeau this year, the Knicks get to the finals, if you ask me. If Tom Thibodeau's coaching that team, I think New York jumped the gun on that. I think they needed a scapegoat for the reason why they flamed out the way they did, and it was easy to blame Tom Thibodeau. I think they're going to regret that. I don't think Mike Brown is the coach to take them that far. Mike Brown's had many opportunities to take teams places, and he burns out as well. So I think that loss of Thibodeau is going to hurt him because Thibodeau also controls everything in that locker room. Every player, he controls, the attitudes, the mentality. Thibodeau is just more than an X and O coach. And if I was any team out there who is trying to change my culture, trying to get my team to play a certain way every night and to compete every night, I'm hiring Tom Thibodeau. Now, you might only get about 3 years out of him, but that 3 years will take your team to a certain level where someone else can come in and take over that team and bring them to the next level, And I kind of liken it to like what Doug Collins was here. Doug Collins was a passionate coach, loved coach, one of the greatest coaches ever, and he took that Bulls team from the bottom to like 50 wins. And then Phil came along, and sometimes you wonder, like, okay, if Doug would have been able to coach any of those championship teams, how many championships would Doug been able to get? I honestly believe Doug would at least have at least two. Okay, because I thought he was that good of a coach, and I think from at that time when he was coming up, I think they made that decision based off of the younger players they had on the team, Scottie and Horace, and so they made decisions based off the youth of that team, and they went a different direction. They needed somebody a little bit more nurturing, a little bit more forgiving, per se. Phil was, because that's how Phil was as an assistant. He was those players, buffer to the head coach. So, but yeah, I think Doug wins at least 2 championships.
Let's go back looking at the East. I guess Horace is standing by. Well, let's quickly get through the next group. You talk about Orlando, Detroit, Atlanta competing for those home court advantage spots.
America, Detroit.
I know you like Detroit.
Remember the Pistons. I thought they were maybe a year too early. They get Ivy back from that gruesome leg injury. They finished 6th last year in the 6th seed. They had lost 20-plus games in a row. They were the butt of everybody's jokes, losing those games. But one thing I will say about that team, they competed every single night. Those young, Cade Cunningham is a leader. Cade Cunningham is an old soul. They could have felt sorry for themselves when they were losing. They competed every night when they were going through that losing streak. And, when you lose that many games in a row, man, that's very defeating.
Yeah.
It's one thing you lose 2 or 3 in a row. You're like, oh, man, we lost 2 or 3 in a row, And you know how that feels. Imagine losing 20-plus. Was it 26, 28?
Yeah, it's 28. I
think. 28 games in a row. But they never wavered. They competed every night. And some of those nights they had chances to win. They were just a young, inexperienced team. But what they got out of that was they got a lot of experience. Their players got a lot of playing time. They got a lot of, to develop. So then the next year they come around, people think it's an easy win. It's not an easy win now. Those guys now know how to play. They know how to play it with adversity, and so they're better. So this year, if no injuries happen, this is a team I think you have to watch out for. Orlando was that team a couple of years ago, and I still think they're going to be good because as long as Wagner's there and you got Banchero there, you've got a really good chance. It's the pieces around them that you got to worry about. What are you going to put around those guys? They were the darling team that everybody wanted to watch for 2 years ago. It's Detroit now, and it's going to be Atlanta. Atlanta's the other team, Mark, that I don't think people are talking about. The moves they made has really solidified their team. Bringing Porzingis, a rim protector, a three-point shooter, a guy that requires double teams, can take some pressure off Trae Young and the rest of those young players. Then getting Jalen Johnson back from the injury that he had, I thought when he went out, really turned their team into going from a solid playoff team to trying to fight for a play-in game. They're going to be much different this year. They're going to be much better. And I think Trae Young getting more mature now, having a family, I think now he understands his role because he knows he can score at any time. He can drop 40 anytime. He knows he can get 20 assists anytime. And now he's putting it together where it's like, I don't need to score tonight. I got other people who can score. When you need me to score, I can score.
And the ultimate wild card in the East is the Philadelphia 76ers. We don't know about Joel Embiid's health, whether he can make it through a full season. If he's healthy and productive, they added VJ Edgecombe in the draft. They're going to get McCain back. I think they could finish anywhere from 3rd to play-in. We'll just still have to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm Philadelphia, I just start redoing it. Just start building. You got Jared McClain there. You got Edgecombe, 2 good young pieces. I pretty much find out because listen, nobody knows what their star player looks like other than the people that he plays for, okay? On the outside, Joel Embiid's been hurt a lot, blah, blah, blah. But on the inside, Philadelphia knows how serious his injuries are. So if you're Philadelphia and you know that there's a possibility he's talking retirement or he's talking like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play, you got to get him out of there. You got to try to get as much as you can for him.
With that contract, it'd be hard to move.
Well, let me tell you something. There's some people out there who still take him. He's an MVP caliber player. And if you don't know what his circumstances are, is he healthy or is he not healthy? If he's healthy, he's one of the best NBA players in the game.
Sure.
He requires double teams. He's an MVP caliber guy, and he can change your whole organization around. Plus, you get a motivated Joel Embiid, like, oh, you're trading me? You trading me the process? Okay, I'm going to show you what you get when you trade me. He's liable to take a team to a championship. Then you got Paul George. Move on from Paul George.
Tyrese Maxey.
I'm keeping Tyrese Maxey. He's a young player because he competes every night from the point guard position. But Paul George and Embiid are always hurt. They're never playing together. I don't know how many games they play together, but it's got to be less than 20 together. And they seem to be, they're Paul George is more into podcasting than actually playing. So I would move on from those guys, try to get as many picks as I can from them, and let my fan base know, like, hey, this is something we had to do. This is something it's more for long-term sustainability for the Philadelphia 76ers. It's time for us to rebuild. We got some good young pieces right now, Edgecombe and McLean, and we're gonna go from there. And let's play for the draft this year, and let's see what we can do.
Well, one guy who's always motivated is Horace Grant. He is standing by. He's going to join us next on Gimme the Hot Sauce. Welcome back to Gimme the Hot Sauce. It's now our pleasure to welcome in our good friend Horace Grant, who's kind enough to join us from his palatial estate. Horace, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know you were back in Chicago a couple weeks ago for Bulls Fest. What's that like for you to walk around and meet all the fans and hear all their memories of the glory days?
Well, I mean, thank you guys for having me on, Stacey and Mark. But the experience in Chicago at Bulls Fest is like no other in terms of the crowd, the fans, the people welcome me with open arms. Of course, they love to hear about the glory days in Chicago. What it was like playing with MJ and Pip and the guys. But most of all, the kids and the adults were out there having fun.
Yeah, one of the things it also does is, and we talked about this with Judd, is it brings guys back. You get a chance to see guys that you don't see on a regular basis. You don't talk to as much, and that's something that we're all trying to do more of because we're getting up there in age, is to make sure that we stay connected. And to see you and Bill there, Judd was there. You had Eddie Curry was there. There was a ton of ex-Bulls players there. What is it like for you to run into Bill Cartwright at an event like this? Because he's in California, you're in California, but y'all on two different sides of California. And to be able to run into each other at the Bulls Fest, what is that like for you to experience?
Man, I can honestly say, Stacey, that Bill Cartwright is one of my favorite teammates that I ever played with. Great defender, a great presence on the floor and just off the floor, just a humble, great human being. Just to come back and reminisce with him about some of our silliness that we did as teammates, catching up with each other on our lives, our families. It was great, man.
Then we find out. Then he writes a book. He's an author now. He's going to be a best-selling author. He came on my show and he says, I'm going to give you a book. And I said, well, make sure you autograph it. Make sure you put down to my good friend Stacey King. Whatever you want to put in there, just make sure you sign it. I don't want a blank book, because then I say Bill gave me this book, and they say, let me see what he wrote in it, and there's nothing in there. Like, yeah, sure, Bill Cartwright gave you a book. He must really like you as a teammate, Stacey. Then I find out today before the show, Horace brings up the book. Show the book, Horace. Show the book. Pull it up. Look, this is Bill's book, ladies and gentlemen.
This is Bill's book, and I thought when I opened it, I'm like, oh yeah, he's going to sign it. No,
he gave G a blank book with no autograph in it. Look at that. He didn't even put his fingerprints in there like he was eating some chicken. He could have easily just marked it with some chicken grease on there, but he didn't do anything. This is what I'm talking about, Bill. See, Bill, I love Bill to death, but Bill tried to do that to me, but I called him out on it. Says he doesn't like doing anything like that. He doesn't want to do anything like that. But it's good that he got you though, because now I'm gonna call him up and say, hey, man, why you give G that blank book, man? He could have got that at Barnes and Nobles for free. Come on, bro.
Exactly. I'm like, I thought I was one of the special guys on
the
team.
We went to war with them.
Like, damn, nothing. Nothing.
You might have to sign it yourself.
Hey, Stacey, remember when we were promoting his book and I got his website wrong and it was jumped down my throat?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hey, Mark wasn't one of his favorite people because he was promoting the book on the show, and so he said, "Go to your website." Mark gave him the wrong website. You would have thought it was like that movie, The Ring, where that girl came out the TV. Man, if he could have came out the TV and got Mark, boy, woo,
I'd have been done for.
He'd have been done for, bro. He'd been done. But it's always, like I always say, it's good having you guys on my show coming back, man. It just brings back so many good memories. We see each other when you come back to Chicago anyway, but it's always great to see you guys, man. It's just like, because we're getting up there in age, man. Some of you guys are getting up there in age. I'm aging backwards like Benjamin Button.
Okay.
I'm going backwards. Okay.
Hey, Brad,
Sooner or
okay,
later, I'll be a
Brad
baby.
Pitt. Okay, Brad Pitt.
Sooner or later, I'll be a baby like Benjamin Button. I don't want to get to that point right now. I want to stay where I'm going right now. But it's always great to see you guys, and it's so much fun because we share so many stories, so many adventures, so many battles with each other and against everybody. You don't get that back. You don't. A lot of teams don't ever get to experience that.
Well, I think the Bulls are doing a great job in keeping us connected, bringing guys back for different reasons in terms of helping the Bulls out with different situations. But just to keep that connection, man, is priceless.
My question to you is, and we had this question added to a lot of people. It's like, what is it going to take for MJ and Scottie to put that, put the drama behind them and move forward from that? Because you can't have any celebration without those two guys. You can't have, honor team, 91, 92, 93 teams without those guys, and so what is it going to take for those guys to work out and hash out their differences?
I think it's going to take the egos put aside, the pride to put aside. Once that happened, that opened the doors up to communication. Two of the best leaders I ever played under.
Yes.
Two of the best leaders. Of course, MJ, when he was here, when he was with the Bulls before he retired, the best leader. And after that, after he retired, Scottie became that leader, that undeniable leader. But MJ and Pip put the egos aside and the pride, because we've done things in Chicago with the Bulls, with that team that a lot of other professional teams have never accomplished.
And never will.
That. No. 2-3 piece like that? Come on, man. That's incredible. But I hope and pray, and believe me, I talk to Pip a lot. And he's starting to understand that we're not getting any younger.
Yeah.
At all. I'm 60. He's going to be 60 in September. So hopefully they're have peace. Got my fingers crossed.
Yeah,
and
me too,
toes.
man. Because it's a sad deal because again, those teams were special, and they got a majority of the attention, but there was a lot of people involved in that. That it matters. So to be able to, I don't know if it was all from The Last Dance. Where it all stems from. I kind of think it's The Last Dance. My personal thing, because I know watching The Last Dance, when you're there and you've experienced it, you know what happened. You know what happened. A lot of the fans don't know. This might be their first, glimpse of that team and what went on behind the scenes. But the guys who are actually in the trenches, we actually know how everything was. So we can sit there and go, that's cap. That's not true. But we don't come out and say those kind of things. We just keep that to ourselves. And to see how Scottie was portrayed in that, I knew that was going to be a problem. I knew that was going to be a problem, and I called it, and I'm like, I hope it doesn't. But the way he was portrayed in there in certain situations, that could have been left out. That could have been swept under the rug and moved on from that.
I think it was an unfair portrayal of one of the top 75 players in Scottie in that documentary. I forgot what I had for breakfast this morning. How in the hell someone is going to know what happened 25, 30 years ago?
Exactly.
It was entertaining, but when you're behind the scenes, you know exactly what went on and what was said and what was not said. And I remember when Pip made the decision, and it was a bad decision not to go back into that game. I think it was against New York.
The 1.8 seconds.
Yeah, the 1.8 second. But the last dance I thought was going to be the last year.
Yes.
Isn't that the last dance, the last year?
Yeah.
And why was that even in the documentary? And I think Pip has a right to be a little angry. And hopefully with time, they say time heals all. Hopefully he will heal.
Well, Horace, I can tell you, somebody who's worked in the media all my life, what happened there. Michael and his people were given executive producer control, which means that they were able to dictate how those stories were going to be edited. And so the negative stuff in Scottie's career, the 1.8 seconds, the contract disputes that he had, delaying his back surgery before the 9, all that stuff was featured when it didn't need to be. But that was Jordan's people presenting their view on how Michael looked at it. This was a Michael vehicle. It wasn't really an objective look at the Bulls' last dance, and that's kind of what happened. And I'm sure that's why Scottie's so upset, because it was engineered to glorify Michael, and in the process kind of tore Scottie down.
And the crazy thing about it, I rejected it for 2 or 3 years. They've been asking, Horace, we're doing this, and I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it. And only reason I did the interview was that Tim Hallam used to work for he was like, Horace, this guy just keep asking me, could you please? I said, Tim, I'm gonna do it for you, but you're gonna owe me. And I sat down, and once I saw it, man, they cut that thing like slice.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting there. I could not believe it, to be honest.
Yeah.
To be transparent, I could not believe how much they cut it up and made the majority of us look incompetent.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I mean, that was my take on it. I felt like anything that happened in that first repeat had nothing to do with the second repeat. Nothing. That 1.8 seconds that Scottie set out, that had nothing to do with what went on in the second go around. Those guys won the championship. They earned it, just like we earned our championship. So we were the first dance, they were the last dance. If you want to do a first dance, then talk about the first dance. But the last dance should have been based off of what that team was going through, how hard it was to three-peat again with Michael and Scottie. Because if you think about this, the only two consonants on those three-peat teams were Michael and Scottie. Those were two completely different teams going in, besides those two guys. So, and Phil Jackson. So those three people were the only ones that were from the first championship. So it should have been based off of what they were going through. Michael thinking about retiring, Phil thinking about walking away. This is the last hurrah, hurrah. How difficult it is to not only repeat, but to three-peat a second time. It should have been more about their season. And from what I hear, that video sat in the vault for like 30 years.
Yeah, it did.
Like they never finished it. It was sitting, the NBA had it, and they gave it to Michael. I don't know if he bought it. I don't know what the deal is, what happened. I don't really know the story on that. But it sat in the NBA vault for like 30 years, and MJ got a hold of it. It was not finished. Because if you remember, it was like a 10-week situation. And if you remember, they added, they took a week off, and it was like a 2-week dead period. They added the Steve Kerr situation, his father. Well, Steve Kerr, his situation with his father happened when he was in college. That didn't happen during the championship runs. His father was assassinated when he was a freshman at the University of Arizona. So that really had no bearings to what was going on, in the last dance. And everything should have been based off of, what their experience, Michael coming back, what he learned from baseball, basically, having an understanding now what it's like to be a role player. Because that's what I thought it was going to be based off of, because here's a guy who left at the top of his game, the greatest player when he left. Now he had to go do baseball, and we all know why he went to go play baseball, because that's something his father wanted him to do. He tried out baseball. But the mentality that he had, that he found out that, hey, you know what? It's not so easy being part of the guys. I'm used to being the man. Now I have to look at a different perspective. Now I know what guys who role players on my team feel like. I put a lot of pressure on those guys. Now I understand what it's like to be a role player. And I thought it'd be more on the lines of that. Here this great player had to come down and play a certain way. And he did good. I mean, there's not a lot of guys that can go out there and hit a baseball. I mean, people think it was a failure for him. He batted like 200 or something. Yeah. Couldn't hit a curveball. But, I mean, for a guy 6'6", never played since Little League, and to go out there and bat Major League Baseball, it was pretty impressive. Not too many NBA guys could go jump to another sport and go out there and play. People say, LeBron, go play football. Oh, okay. Stop. Not happening. Not happening. So that's what I thought. And the betrayal, Scottie, I thought was unnecessary. The migraine headaches, the 1.8 seconds, the waiting for the last championship to go have back surgery, all unnecessary. He came back. Y'all won the championship with him, and his back still wasn't 100% in the finals, and he still played with a bad back. That should have been more glorified. Yeah. This guy coming off playing with a bad back.
I don't get. That's what I don't get. I mean, Pip really sacrificed a lot in terms of his health to help the Bulls with their success with that particular team, and for the narrative of him being selfish and things of that nature from the Last Dance. I mean, I think that was totally unfair.
Yeah, I mean, and we talk about this with all the players that have come on here. I've always said this: the best teammate I've ever had was Scottie Pippen. If you ask who the leader was on that team, people would automatically say MJ, because MJ is the best player. But if you take a poll of every player on that team, I guarantee you 90% of them would say Scottie. Because Scottie was always, to me, he was always the good cop to the bad cop. Whenever there was a situation, MJ would get on a teammate or, try his way of pushing you to a certain level, Scottie could see and sense that it bothered you. And he would come on and put his arm around you and say, hey, man, don't listen to him. We need you. We need you to do this. Just go do this and we're going to be fine. And he'd always make you feel better. Bill Cartwright was like that. John Paxson was like that. And I was very fortunate as a young player coming in, as a 21-year-old rookie, to play on a team with so many selfless guys that didn't care about stats, didn't care about, how much money they made. They were more concerned about winning and teaching the younger players how to be professional. A lot of young players don't get that situation. Horace and them came in an abuse situation. They came in with Charles Oakley. See, I might have been a Gilbert Arenas in that situation with Oak. I love Oak, but I might have brought a gun to get him because he's a bully. And so y'all had to come through a totally different. You and Scottie had to come through a totally different as rookies in that situation compared to like what me and BJ had to experience.
Yeah, I mean, man, Oak was my mentor, a good friend to this day, just the utmost respect for him. He taught me so much, Stacey, Mark, in terms of no crying on the court, because he used to beat my ass almost every day. I mean, oh my goodness. But I never backed down. And I think Oak respected that. Yeah, Artis Gilmore there, Granville Waiters,
oh wow,
Mike Brown, some very good veterans that helped me personally to get over that hump. But man, I remember one. You know how you get hazed when you're a rookie, and back then, we weren't making money like they're making now. So I check out of the hotel. I go downstairs, and I said, I'm checking out. And she was like, yes, Mr. Grant, here's your bill. And back then, if your bill over $100, you're like, man, my bill was like $700. I'm like, ma'am, no, this is not mine. No. I said, show me an itemized. And Oak and the guys had ran my bill up to $700. I'm like praying, please don't let my card decline. It was crazy, man. So we paid our dues, Scottie and I.
Well, let me add on to this too. See, he learned well from them because they did the same stuff to me and BJ.
Yeah.
So when we would check out, we'd have a bill like $800, and I'd be like, well, I didn't have room service. I ate out the whole time I was here. And then you come on like, who did this? And they would, you knew who did it, but you couldn't prove who did it. And they back there laughing, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. So yeah. So yeah, we all went through it. I don't even know why they don't do that anymore now. The rookies get treated like veterans now. It's really sad. They don't carry any bags. I remember we flew commercial. And we had to go into the airport with Mark File and put all the bags up and then bring them to the bus. Rookies nowadays, you don't see any rookies carrying bags. No. They need to bring that back, bro. Seriously. That's a rite of passage. That's a rite of passage in the NBA. And you're not a veteran until your first home game of your second year. Preseason doesn't count. You got to get to your first home game of your second year, then you become a veteran. So they've done away with that rookie hazing, as long as it's not crazy. We had some people did some great, like MJ would kick balls up into the rafters and try to tell us to go get it. G will tell you, I'm gonna define one. Like
oh, that's a shock.
You ain't gonna. I'll fight you. We ain't doing that. I told about it, the chicken story. See, you don't know the real chicken story. See, everybody thought I was lost, G, in the chicken story. They're like, oh, Stacey got lost. We was on the runway waiting for him. Hey, there's a statute of limitations now. It's passed. I can tell you the truth. I never was lost. I didn't go get chicken. I did go get me something to eat for myself. And I drove home with Lisa, my ex-wife. We drove home. She said, aren't you supposed to catch a plane? I said, F them. They want chicken. Let them get chicken on the plane. I'm going to bed. Y'all were going to Atlanta. And so I went home and went to sleep. That's before we had cell phones.
Yeah.
People were calling my phone. SS, where you at? Stacey, where you at? We're out here waiting for you. They was on the runway for like an hour waiting for me. I was sitting in the bed laughing like a mug. I got up the next day about 5 in the called Karen Stack. Karen acting like I was like really distraught. Karen, I'm in Stony Island. Can you give me a ticket to Atlanta? I don't know. I went to go get chicken. I got lost. I'm way over in Stony Island. I think I was in Belvedere. I don't know where I'm at. She said, oh, don't worry. Stacey will get your ticket. I didn't have to pay for the ticket. I didn't get fined. But they thought they was clowning me. They thought I was late. They thought I got lost. Little did you know, G. Yeah. The defiant one.
Stacey, you one of the most clever rookies because you knew how to get out situations, man.
I still do, G. Don't sleep. Oh, my God. Boy, you a wild one.
Hey, I want to ask you about the way the game has changed since you guys were in there. It's really become kind of a three-point shooting contest. Sometimes games, you see 70 three-pointers. Stacey and I did a game, there was 100 three-pointers put up.
Oh, my God.
When you watch the game now, do you kind of wonder what happened?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the three-pointing, I mean, sometimes it gets so disturbing, if you will, for lack of a better word, in terms of you can have a fast break, a 3-on-2 or 3-on-1, and guys will just come up and pull up for a three.
Or they run to the corner instead of trying to cut in for a dunk. Yeah.
And that's, to me, being an old head, that's not basketball. It's not the fundamental of how you run a fast break. And I pray and hope that the physicality will come back into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Not like when we played Detroit or New York or even Cleveland or Indiana, but some hand check, some physicality, and all of the damn review of a foul like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a question. You're a former player. You know basketball to the utmost. I consider you an expert. Where are you at the GOAT debate between LeBron and MJ? What's your point? What's your take on it?
I would say this. Stacey and Mark. What's the ingredients of the GOAT? Is it rings? Is it being the best rebounder? Is it being the best assists or block shots? What is the GOAT? I mean, never losing in the finals or MVPs? are those I mean, I want to know what's the ingredients of a GOAT, because if it's rings, it's Bill Russell.
Yeah.
If it's defense, I mean, you can look at Bill Russell, you can look at Kembe, you can look at Ben Wallace.
You can look at Will Chamberlain as being like really the most unstoppable force that anyone's ever seen. I mean, he easily could be the greatest player of all time based off of what he did and changed the game. They widened the lane up for him. You know, they took the dunk out because he was dunking so easily. Kareem could also be in that conversation. He had the most unstoppable skyhook that for the like 30 years. You know, I mean, so there's different criteria, but I think when you look at it, it's like, you know, it's kind of like, I mean, really, I mean, you can go with any of those guys, but when you're starting, the main conversation is always going to be Kobe. It's always going to be Michael. It's always going to be LeBron. Those are the three guys that everyone always talks about. And so I say what separates those three guys is first you got to look at, you know, finals. You know, Kobe's got 5 rings. MJ's got 6. MJ was 6-0 in the finals. LeBron is, you know, what, 4 and 6. 4 and 6 in the finals. You know, his argument is I've been to 10 finals. Okay, that's like saying you went to Baskin Robbins 10 times. I mean, what did you order a milkshake every time you came? Who cares? You went 10 times. Who cares? Like that, you didn't win. You know, or I played the lottery 10 times and I won 10 times. No one cares. It's what you did when you were there. You know, and not taking anything away from him because he is on the Mount Rushmore, in my opinion, of great players. And I would never slight his career at all because what he's done in the game, he's more Magic than MJ. Where Kobe's more Michael. Kobe gets overlooked. I mean, when the discussion of what a GOAT player is, you know, I would put him right up under MJ, 1 and 1A, and then I would throw LeBron there.
I tell people
you play with both.
I tell people all the time. I mean, if you have to pin me down to be to pick my GOAT, it would be MJ. And I was, in all respect to LeBron and Kobe and, you know, and many other players that you can argue say is the GOAT. But I've seen Kobe Bryant when Shaq will foul out, got in foul trouble. I thought I was looking at Michael Jordan, how he took over a game and led us to victory many times when Shaq was on the bench with foul trouble. And what have you. But I would say MJ 1 and Kobe 1A for sure.
Yeah, I would say that because also what separates those three guys is they were two-way players. They played on both ends. You know, they didn't just play offense. And LeBron in his early days was a very good defensive player. But over the last 5 or 6 years, you know, he's kind of a traffic cone out there. He's not guarding anybody. He's basically running people over and telling them to run over and guard his man. And he's not the same defensive player. And people can say, well, he's 40 years old. Well, MJ was playing defense at 40. You know, Kobe was playing defense in his late 30s. I mean, you still have to do it if you want to be a championship caliber player.
Yeah, and in LeBron's defense, the rules have changed so much when it comes to defense. I mean, teams are switching everything. I mean, it's just like guys don't get over screens. They don't run through screens and things of that nature. But with LeBron, and I watched him, I mean, when he was really young, he can play defense from 1 through 5, basically.
Yes.
And that's a testament to his mentality.
Well, what's really hurting LeBron now is his self-promotion. There's a new ad that's out from Nike, which has labeled him the Forever King. It shows him with a scowl on his face, putting a crown on his head, and the narrator says he defeated all his rivals, never backed down, the unquestioned king forever. And it's like this arrogance and this self-promotion. I think people would look at him more kindly if he would just let his numbers and his accomplishments tell the story rather than always trying to convince everyone that, hey, I'm the best ever.
See, I haven't seen that commercial, and if that's true, and
wait till you
guys
see
say
it.
it's true.
Yeah,
it's cringe. It's cringe.
Really?
It's cringe.
Yeah, just
right, no
Google
comments.
it. Google it when we're done.
Yeah, when you're done, Google it up. It's on there.
Yeah, LeBron.
I didn't even know about it
king,
until Mark told me. And then, so I had to look this up. So I saw it. I'm like, oh.
It's almost as bad as the decision in terms of someone close to him should have said, LeBron, you don't want to do this, because people are already thinking that you're trying too hard to push yourself. And this just pushes him over a cliff.
I mean, my personal opinion, he should just let it happen. It just happened, in terms of the overbearing promotion. I mean, he's on that Rushmore.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
And that's what I don't understand, G. You're on Mount Rushmore. There's so many great players that could be up there, but you're up there. What does it make? What difference does it make if you consider number 1, number 2, and number 3? You're in the conversation.
Yes.
And in this day and age, people thought Michael up until this point before The Last Dance was the guy that sold shoes, except for the people that we grew up with. People grew up watching us play. The younger generation has only seen LeBron and KD and all this, Steph Curry. They didn't ever really say, they just heard stories about what Michael did and his accomplishments and what he did as a player. They just associate him with the Air Jordan shoes. Now you bring him up and you show him during The Last Dance when, and it was perfectly timed because it was during COVID where everybody had to watch. Mm-hmm. Everybody had to sit there and watch that every night like it was the Jeffersons. They had to watch it every single night. So kids have a different appreciation for how great Michael was. Like, oh my God, I didn't know he was that good. I didn't know he did that. Look how high he jumped. Look this, and they're like, okay, so they have a different appreciation. The fan base now has opened up a little bit more. So now you have that discussion now, and it's got heated because LeBron's fans, you can't tell them anything. It's almost like a cult. You say anything bad about LeBron, boy, you liable to get 100 people commenting on a text you say. Yeah. It's crazy how they're like cult. But they love their guy, and I get that because it's what he's done in their generation. He's the best player that they have seen. It's like when we came up and you start talking about Bob Cousy and you start talking about Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain. We never saw those guys play except through video. We only can go by the people that we saw. Kareem, Moses Malone. Those are the guys that we saw coming up. Yeah. Dr. J, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. So we don't know anything. We know how good those players are because we're historians of the game. We know how good those players were, but we never actually saw them play. So it's hard for us to comment and say, well, Oscar was the best guard that I've ever seen. Well, we never saw him play. Even though he averaged a triple-double, that puts him up there as one of the greatest guards, but visually we never saw him. But we can't comment on Isaiah Thomas. We can't comment on John Stockton, Magic Johnson, the Mark Jacksons of the world, who are all considered Hall of Famers or considered great players. We can comment on those because we actually saw that. So this new generation who hasn't seen MJ, they only seen Kobe, they ended Kobe's career, and then seen LeBron. They can only basically say, this is all I've seen. So, of course, they're going to fight for them. Why wouldn't you? Because you haven't seen the other guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think this generation got to go to this thing called Google. If you don't know who Michael Jordan is, or John Stockton, or Karl Malone, or even a Tim Duncan,
right?
You got to go and Google. I mean, LeBron, KD, James Harden, Steph, all these guys are great, great players in this generation. And that's why I say it's so difficult to choose a GOAT, because it's different generations. I mean, back in Wilt Chamberlain days, you can argue and say that he was the GOAT back then.
Yes. Because his record of scoring over 100 points will never be broken.
No. The closest came, I think, was Kobe. 81.
Yeah, 81. Yeah. I mean, that's a record, and you really never thought anybody would break, Oscar Robertson's triple-double average for a season. But there's guys out there who could do that if they focused on it because they can score, they rebound, and assist. Russell Westbrook is one of them. I don't think you'll see a guy put a season like he put together, for a 2 or 3 year span.
Jokic last year with Denver.
Yeah, Jokic as a big man, some of the things that he's been able to do. I mean, records are meant to be broken, but there are certain records that are sitting so high that you will not see it. I even think LeBron's scoring record now, as he continues to pad those scoring numbers, because look how long it took for him to get everybody to get Kareem. I mean, the one guy I always thought could get it was if MJ would have not missed those 2 years. or came in early from high school and been able to play early like LeBron, these guys, maybe he could have done it. I thought Karl Malone had a chance to do it. I mean, this is a guy averaging 30 points every year. I mean, the guy was a phenomenal scorer. You thought he would be able to do it, and I think he's in top 5, and he wasn't able to do it. So LeBron's record is going to probably sit there. We'll be gone. We'll be somewhere in the afterlife, baby. Somebody was trying to break that record. It could be your grandson. It could be my grandchildren. It could be somebody out there, baby.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's just so different now in terms of how. I mean, back when we played, Stacey, it was more or less. I mean, it was lots of defense, but now it's the scoring is up here just because of the rule change and the 3-point shots and what's the word I'm looking for when animated
Analytics.
when you go to the corner and
Analytics.
Analytics. Yes, analytics. I mean, and I quote Larry Bird. Man, my analytics is what I see with my own 2 eyes.
Yeah.
That's a quote from Larry Bird. He didn't believe in the analytics.
No,
it was his own 2 eyes.
Well, it's that Moneyball effect where they, where Billy Beane and Oakland A's had all this strategic, numerical things that helped the A's win. They didn't have the talent, but they were able to win by numbers of players on the team. The pitching percentages. They pitched this guy pitched this day on Tuesdays. He really pitched well on Tuesdays, so pitch him on Tuesdays. So they did all that stuff, and he won. Again, that's baseball. There's 162 games in that. So there's a lot of different variables in there. When you're talking about a basketball, the first thing a guy that's talking analytics is talking about, 3 is more than 2. Oh, wow. Thank you, Einstein. We know that. But if you don't have Steph Curry, you don't have Klay Thompson, and you don't have a Kevin Durant on your squad, that Warriors team that shot the ball the way they did, those 3 guys right there are arguably 3 of the greatest shooters in NBA history on the same team. Every team doesn't have one. You'd be lucky if you have one guy that can make at least 7 3-point shots. You got guys out there, Horace, that are shooting under 30% taking 3-point shots. Under 30%, casting up threes. Yeah, that's the same look I do every night. Like, the first thing I be doing, I'll be like, hey, let me talk to you for a second. We're going to work on our 3-point shooting, but it's not going to be this year. You're going to work on it in the summertime. Right now, I need you to shoot everything 18 and in. That's your go-to move. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we want to get up 43s, but if you're only hitting, let's say you took 33s, you only hit 8. Okay, so that means you only got 24 points from the 3-point line. Did you get to the free throw line? Obviously, you didn't because you're shooting 3. So you're not getting to the free throw line to offset some more points you could have scored. You're not fast breaking, getting fast break points. You're not getting second chance opportunities because you don't have anybody offensive rebounding because everybody's going back in transition. So where do we get any kind of compensation where if the other team shot, let's say the other team shot 25 threes, they knocked down 10 of them. Okay, so they got 30 points from the 3-point line, but they also attacked the basket where they shot 24 free throws. They knocked down 22 of 24 free throws. They also got fast break points where they got 15 fast break points. And they got about 14 second chance points off offensive rebounds. So when you start adding up those numbers and then adding up the numbers where the other team didn't do all those things, now you see a 25-point swing. You see a team losing by 20 or 25 points. And they got up more threes. They got up more shots than the other team. But it wasn't a very efficient game. And that's where you're seeing a lot of these teams they're getting up a lot of threes, but they're not efficient shots. They're not one of those catch and shoot. When you watch Golden State, they have an offense. They run part of the triangle. They run split cuts. They run, fist side. They run a lot of the triangle stuff where Steph Curry always seems open. It doesn't matter what defense you play on him, he always seemed open. Klay Thompson always seemed open because they utilize the offensive cuts in the triangle. Nobody likes the triangle, but teams in the NBA run some variation of the triangle. And it's really funny to watch because they hate the triangle. They don't want to talk about the triangle. Phil Jackson's triangle, we don't want to talk about it. But every team, I watch it on a nightly basis. Every single team runs some aspect of the triangle, whether it be pinch post, whether it be reverse action off the blind pig, whether it be fist side, split cuts. They run some kind of variation and they score off of it, but they don't know how to teach the whole package of the triangle.
my thing is this, and I'm trying to grasp this. We have an offense like the Triangle who helped win 11 championships. 11. 6 with the Bulls and 5 with the Lakers. And you mean to tell me that a Triangle was so successful that guys cannot run it now?
It's got to be taught right.
Question.
It's got to be taught right, G. Because I read in the CBA and people said, "Oh, you can't do it. The guys are not smart enough. You got to have high basketball IQ," which is true. Yeah. You do have to have guys with high basketball IQ, but it can be taught, and it can be taught if you teach it the right way. It'll be ran the right way. But you got to have. I will say this: you got to have a guy when it breaks down that can get a shot for you. If you ever going to run that offense, because we had Scottie and we had Michael, we can get a shot. But anybody running that offense, you better have one guy on that perimeter. When the shot clock's down to 5, he can get something going to the basket or get to the foul line. You do have to have that. You're not going to have Michael all the time. You're not going to have a Kobe. But if you got a guy like, say, in Denver, just using Denver, playing through the post with Jokic, imagine him in a triple post offense. Oh, my God, Denver would be unguardable. Then you got a guy like Murray who can get his shot anytime he wants to when the shot clock's winding down. They're a perfect candidate to run a triangle.
Yes, sir. I mean, Jokic, he can play all 5 positions when it comes to that triangle, man. I've never seen a young man who can't jump over a newspaper, but when it comes to technical stuff, footwork, his passing, rebounding. I haven't seen somebody like that in the last 15 years, to be honest.
Hey, Horace, as we get ready to let you go, I understand my producer says that you're going to be getting in the podcast business. You want to tell us about that?
Man, it's about damn time. I mean, no, I'm launching a podcast called Legends in Session next year.
Okay.
It's going to be about how I grew up in Georgia, of course, about basketball, my teammates, my former teammates, just the life of Horace Grant. So it's going to be great. Like I said, it's going to be launched in hopefully around June of 26th. So,
well, we look forward to checking it out. And
are you? First of all, are you gonna have your brother on there?
Hell yes.
Yeah, you guys need to pair up, man. You got to pair up, man. I'll be double trouble, man. You got to pair up with him.
Stacey. Harvey and I got so many stories of how we grew up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's gonna be on there a lot.
Oh
sure.
Boy, y'all got some amazing stories, man.
Hey, and plus we're gonna talk about his time with you in Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, we took a pay cut when he got to the league. Man, oh Lord have mercy. That's a statute of limitations.
Yeah.
We didn't get NIL back in the day. We should have though. We should have. Ooh, boy, I'd be a $5 million player in Oklahoma right now, boy. I'd have stayed in school 7 years. They'd have been like, "You coming out this year?"
10 years, baby.
10 years. They said, "Stacey, you coming out this year?" How many more years I got? You got 4. I'm here all 4. All 4, baby. All 4.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's Legends in Session with Horace Grant and Company.
That's catchy.
And if you want to sign up now to get all the bulletins on when it's going to launch, I got to get this right because Bill Cartwright will kill me.
Yeah.
It's legendsinsession.com. So you can sign up now and get ready for it.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Horace, it's great catching up with you. Best of luck and be healthy out there in Cali. And we loved visiting with you, and we look forward to hearing your podcast next year.
All right. Thank you guys for having me on. I'll see you soon in Chicago.
All right, boy.
All right. Horace Grant, our guest. We're talking little Bears after this. Keep it tuned and give me the hot sauce.
Keep it tuned, baby.
We had so much fun with Horace Grant, we forgot to get our promo up with our good friend Jeff Vukovich. He'll take care of all your insurance needs, auto, home, and business, the nationwide rep. You can reach Jeff at jeffvuk.com, VUK.com. The phone number 847 825-4783. And I'm sure Stacey wanted to sing the jingle when Horace was here, but we'll have to bring it in now.
You got to get in when you get in, Mark.
Yeah, that's right.
Nationwide is on your side.
Yeah, nicely done. Jeff Vukovic will take care of all your insurance needs. Give him a call. Tell him, give me the hot sauce. Sent you. And now one of our regular features. We want to welcome in our Bears analyst, Glenn Morgan, kind enough to join us via Zoom. And, hey, the season's almost here. We've got a game on Thursday and the Bears Monday night hosting the Minnesota Vikings. It's going to be fun to watch that go down. A lot of interesting things going on around the NFL. Where do you want to start? You want to start with the Parsons trade? You want to start talking Bears? Where do you want to go, Glenn?
Bears, yeah, I hadn't noticed. I wasn't primed for anything.
Yeah,
Chicago
right.
related. Well, let's go with Micah Parsons. Get the good, bad news out the way.
Yeah, I mean, the trade was remarkable in and of itself, but yes. Stacey and I were talking before the show. Maybe Jerry isn't as crazy as we thought with all this reports of a vertebrae issue. You know, back injuries are no good for any athlete, and trying to play football as a rush end, that could be an issue, paying him $47 million over the next 5 years with a guy that maybe slowed a little bit with back problems.
Yeah, crazy like a fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I didn't want to say it because you don't want to put those things out there, but I kind of thought, like, man, Jerry usually keeps his superstars. And
yeah,
he does.
About
a guy who's just at the beginning of his prime, really. And you know, a false multiplier out on the football field. So to let him go, it did seem kind of like, man, did they really not get along? Was it that deep? But now with the back situation kind of rearing its head, it does make you kind of wonder if the Packers may be buying fool's gold, so to speak.
Yeah,
as a Bears fan, buyer beware, most definitely. As a Bears fan, you're not hoping that he has, you know, chronic back issues, but you're also kind of hoping that maybe he might not be as effective as you thought he might be. That's kind of selfish, but as a Bears fan, we kind of have to hope for that a little bit.
Well, the Bears made a similar move with Khalil Mack. They got one really productive year in 2018 when they thought they had a chance to go deep into the playoffs until the double doink occurred. But, you know, Mack was a decent player for the Bears, but his production kind of tailed off. And I think that, you know, football is the ultimate team game. And can one player, as good as Micah Parsons is, really lift Green Bay to being a Super Bowl contender?
He can, and one player can do that. But it all depends on, like you said, the players around you. Keep in mind, Reggie White did that for the Green Bay Packers.
Mm-hmm.
You said Khalil Mack. I kind of thought of this as a younger Brett Favre situation and a younger Reggie White situation where you compare those two and you can go to back-to-back Super Bowls. But having guys at a younger age doing so to be a problem, you know, for the next 5-7 years. But yeah, it all depends on the players around you. If you've got really good interior defensive linemen, so you can keep not being double teamed, and the run attack from the other offense doesn't really have to affect you. They don't run at you, and you're kind of free to do what you need to do. He could have that Lawrence Taylor effect on a team. And you're talking about a Packers team that was 11-6 last year. So it's not like with the Bears situation when they got Khalil Mack when they were way under 500, and his presence did seem to make a difference defensively for that 2018 season. So yeah, adding Micah Parsons to an 11-6 team, yeah, they definitely could have been a Super Bowl contender, and they still may be. I mean, we'll see what happens. Cortisone shots, other things, treatments, how they utilize them, how he responds to the treatment. All those things have yet to play themselves out. So it's interesting to see. It's just maybe not as much of a slam dunk as everyone seemed to have thought so earlier on.
Well, I mean, listen, if you talk to Micah Parsons, the reason why his back hurts because he had to carry a franchise for the last 3 or 4 years. Okay, now he's on a team that's 11-6, got Super Bowl aspirations, so his back's going to be fine. I think, you know, if you're Green Bay, you realize now you got a lot of money tied up between him and Jordan Love. So that means you don't have a lot of wiggle room to do anything outside that. You got a young core of receivers. Me and Mark were talking about. They got a lot of young receivers who they're high on. That both Love and those guys are kind of growing together, that, you know, maybe in the next year or so, maybe this year, that they take off because now they play together 1 year or not. But when you look at Parsons is going to be a guy. I think these first 2 years you're really going to have to watch, because I think you're going to get a motivated Micah Parsons. I think he's going to come out here and show people he's the best pass rusher in the game, you know, and he's being paid that way. And it's going to give Green Bay something that they surely lacked. As far as having star power at that position. I mean, you go back to Clay Matthews, Jr. That was one of the guys that was really a really good pass rusher back in the day. And you really haven't been there since. I mean, they've had some good interior linemen and they get some good DBs, but someone that puts constant pressure on the quarterback, that can also drop into coverage. He's not just a pass rusher. He's a hybrid linebacker, to be honest with you. He just happens to play with his hand in the ground a lot more than he's standing upright. But Green Bay's got like a guy that can play multiple roles for them. Their defensive coordinator is going to have to be very creative, I think, with him and how you use him on a weekly basis. But I think it's a good pickup. I was just wondering why the Bears didn't do it, but I can understand they didn't want to spend that money or they didn't want to give up that many assets for him. I could get that. But have that guy in the division, that kind of sucked.
Potentially. And again, we still don't know what it's going to look like. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. He can utilize so many different ways because he is such a viable and he has so many different attributes of his game. So you can use him inside, outside. You can drop him in the coverage. There's so many different things you can utilize him with. And with Rashawn Gary on the other side, he's not going to be double teamed more times than not. So, or if he is double teamed, it frees it up for his other teammates. The other thing too that we haven't really thought about is, I don't want to say the quality of life, but in terms of assimilating to Green Bay, it's a different vibe altogether than Dallas. Now that could work for or against them, particularly when you have an African-American player finding himself in Green Bay. Reggie White, it fit well. Charles Woodson initially when he went to Green Bay, he had some reservations about it. But once you get there and you ingratiate yourself to the community and they themselves to you, being in Green Bay is sometimes unlike no other place because it's such a community. Sometimes it sits right in the middle of a neighborhood, so it's almost like Wrigley Field in a lot of ways, where when the fans love you, they love you for life. And something about being a title town, Green Bay, it can do something to revitalize what you even began playing the game for as a kid. And that's about the love of it. That $47 million doesn't hurt each year as well. But finding yourself in Green Bay, I mean, it's different than Dallas. And that could be something that takes a lot of pressure off of him that he was maybe getting in Dallas by not achieving the things that they expect in Dallas.
Well, I'm sure our listeners and viewers are wondering, why are you guys talking about the Packers? Let's get on to the Bears and their Monday night game. I think the last odds I saw, the Bears were like a 1.5 favorite. It's basically a toss-up game. The Vikings, though, won 14 games last year with Sam Darnold. Now they have the local product, J.J. McCarthy at quarterback. Right. What's it going to take for the Bears to win on the lakefront Monday night?
Pressure. They're going to have to make J.J. realize this isn't college any longer, that it's a step up. Now, granted, he won at a high level. He won a national championship, beat Alabama along the way. But the NFL is different. Monday night is a little bit different. And playing in Chicago is a little bit different. And there may be a lot of distractions for him. As you mentioned, he's a local product. So I'm sure he's going to have a lot of friends and family there. It is Monday night, so you're the only game that's on. So everyone's focused on you. It is his debut in terms of his first real season professional game. So there's all that on you. And then living up to what you just said last year, you won 14 games and they let that guy go. So there's pressure on you to, at the very least, be at least that good. Mm-hmm. And it's your first game. It could look very much like Arch Manning in Texas, not Ohio State. It's just you come into a situation where the whole ambiance is different and maybe you press too much. And so what the Bears can do to help with that is apply a little extra pressure, get up in his face. From the outside, that may not happen with the Bears as much, but the interior pressure, and that's the quickest way to quarterback, those things can happen. Stuffing the running game, so you're forcing him to have to pass in long down situations. Critical situations, critical downs is something that the Bears are going to have to maximize and take advantage, having home field advantage to do that, to make it all that much more difficult for JJ to communicate with his teammates.
Yeah, the Bears win.
Simple as that.
We're not even going to get into the conversation. The Bears are going to win at home. They're going to put pressure on McCarthy. They're going to make him have to make decisions, and I think the defense is good enough to put him in some different predicaments where he's going to have to make some throws to beat. Now, if they got a running game to take some pressure off him, I don't know. I haven't seen enough of them to be able to say, okay, the running game can take some pressure off him. But you still got Jefferson there. They're going to try to get him the ball as much as possible. I think if the Bears, how they play him, how they defend him, he can't have 12 or 13 catches. If he gets 12 or 13 catches and a couple of touchdowns, it's going to be a long night. You got to limit his production on Monday night, the first game of the year. You cannot let him have those big games, 13, 14. Now, if you're a fantasy player like myself, If he catches all them balls, I'm happy. I just want the Bears to win. But you can't let him have a big game, and you can't let him be a security blanket for McCarthy behind the center. You got to make him have to go to some other players, make some different throws, put some pressure on him in different blitz packages, and take advantage of a young quarterback like people try to do Caleb Williams last year.
Well, the upside is Jordan Addison won't be able to play, so that is Jefferson's going to see much more attention because of that. Hawkinson can be a bit of a foil in the middle of the field as your tight end for JJ, and that's always a good security blanket for a young quarterback. But like I said, if the Bears can take away and nullify any semblance of a running game, that puts them in a precarious spot. Unfortunately, the Bears, they have questions in the secondary. Jalen Johnson is coming off of an injury, and so he's back, but we don't know to what degree, how healthy in terms of his ability to be able to play the length of the game, the whole duration of it. We don't know. We don't know if he has his timing down. So those things could be an issue. Something where the Bears could be exploited because of the secondary, and if the Bears don't get enough pressure. But what you said, I agree, Stacey. It's home. Caleb has faced defenses of Minnesota's defense before. You've got Ben Johnson, who has faced Minnesota as well. So none of these guys, Minnesota isn't new to them. They understand the nature of the beast that they're dealing with. And so I believe that the Bears have a bit in their favor, which is why the point spread is so low. But, Bears have to make sure that they can protect Caleb. And the left tackle has still been a bit of an issue for Chicago. So we have our own concerns here as well. And the running game for the Bears needs to make sure that it can do enough so that Caleb is able to step up in the pocket and not be faced with a lot of pressure coming at him from left side, right side, and up the middle.
And the Bears did announce on Tuesday that Braxton Jones will be the starting left tackle, which is no surprise to anybody. He's got the experience, and a lot of the other guys challenging just didn't play well enough. Hey, Glenn, before we let you go, I'm curious about what you like from the college slate, the first full weekend of college football. You mentioned Arch Manning going into Columbus and not playing well. Ohio State, the defending national champions, winning that game. Notre Dame goes down to Miami. That was a very entertaining game. Miami wins it on a late field goal. Alabama gets embarrassed, losing to Florida State. And then the other game, Bill Belichick getting blown out in his first game at North Carolina. What did you like from the college slate over the weekend?
Surprisingly enough, you forgot this game.
Yeah, well, who they play?
They play Syracuse. Come on, play Syracuse.
Syracuse has a football team?
Yeah.
Hey, ACC
Jim
team.
Boeheim still coaching the football team?
Oh, wow.
Hey, Donovan McNabb came from Syracuse. They've got some pretty good players. Marvin Harrison, Hall of Famer. In all seriousness, I really did enjoy Tennessee winning because of the question that they had at quarterback with their Nico Iamaleava having the situation where he left, presumably for more money to go to UCLA. So question marks about how well Tennessee would do. But the big games, the ones you hit around the head. I mean, LSU winning on the road in Death Valley at Clemson, for that score to be as low as it was, low scoring. You took two quarterbacks who, coming into the season, pretty much people thought they'd be first round talents. The only one that came out of that game looking that way to me was Garrett Nussmeier, the LSU quarterback. Cade Klubnik did not look very good at home.
He didn't.
And that's at home. 10 points at home. That was surprising. But LSU showed to have a defense, something that they definitely didn't show last year. Something that the head coach was bemoaning, that they lost a lot of close games last year. So showing a defense the way they did on the road in Death Valley against a top 10 team shows a lot of where LSU has grown. Alabama, just the opposite. If there's anything that Nick Saban you could say that he was consistent with, was discipline and having his teams prepared. And this Crimson Tide iteration looked the exact opposite of that. Kalen DeBoer's got the head coach at Alabama, I'm sure he's hearing it and been hearing it all
he's
week.
on the hot seat, big
he's on the
time.
hot seat.
Yeah, for certain.
They got a lot of money invested in him, though.
Yeah,
so
they do. So he's not going anywhere anytime soon. But they were 5-5 the last 10 games they've played, or maybe even 5-6 after this loss. So yeah, not looking real good. But the game of the week, pretty much going in, Texas and Ohio State, 1-3. Low scoring game. I wasn't surprised by that. I actually thought it would be low scoring because of the defenses both teams have. And Matt Patricia showing up as a defensive coordinator for Ohio State, I think really made the difference. You saw just how confused Arch Manning was, how hesitant he was in some passes, and then throwing off the mark a lot of times, and then losing a lot of his his fundamentals in terms of throwing the ball, just throwing off center, just a lot of things that you could tell an inexperienced quarterback wasn't quite prepared for in that cauldron at Ohio State. But again, to their credit, Texas put up more statistical numbers. They were in scoring range, several times. Maybe if they went for some field goals, maybe the pressure's a little bit different, and the game turns out. And that's hindsight, obviously, but 14-7, it's not embarrassing, and that's your first big game on the road against a national champion. And keep in mind, this is the same team you just lost to your last game if you're Texas. So yeah, I think both teams can come away saying, yes, there's a lot of room for improvement, but as a litmus test for one another, I think they both realize that we have to be among the top 10 teams in the country. I don't think anyone comes away thinking any differently after that game.
Well, and my take from it is the game plan that Sarkisian had was not, not equivalent to what a kid like Arch Manning has been there for 2 years. You thought that him being there for 2 years, he's been in the system, he knows everything. Put him out there. He's a Heisman Trophy candidate. Put him out there and let him rip it. Like late in the game, they let him throw the ball around. He almost brought him back. Yeah. They scored. The one kid dropped a short touchdown, dropped it in the end zone. I mean, he was on the way. He was on the way of making a better second half. It would have been, kind of like a Peyton Manning, drive at the end of the game. That's what you were kind of thinking that it was going to be like. So with that said, if I'm Texas, I'm disappointed. Yeah, but it's the first game of the year. We play number 3 team in that hostile environment. It's better to lose now than lose later. Right. So this loss is not going to be so big later on down the line, especially if Texas is able to rebound and dominate in the SEC, which they did last year. I think that loss will be beneficial to them as far as getting into the playoffs based on who their strength of schedule is.
Yeah, without a doubt. And
I can't even believe I'm sitting there talking about Texas. I hate Texas.
Yeah, I think you're right in a lot of ways. When it came to Arch throwing the ball, I don't think they really were hesitant on that. I think they had to make the adjustment. I don't think they expected the defense that they saw. I think that threw them off, and it took them about a half for them to kind of recalibrate and say, okay, we need to try and attack it this way. And then for Arch to kind of settle himself, and reassert.
But Glenn, how do you know you're playing the number 3 team in the country? They got Matt Patricia, who's considered one of the really good defensive coordinators.
Right.
Like, how do you not? And Sarkisian, who was an offensive coordinator in the NFL, who's an offensive-minded guru, as everyone says, how do you not have a game plan to go up against that defense with your stud quarterback? The difference in the game, 4 opportunities to get the ball in from the 1-yard line, and they got stopped. You had 3 running backs in your stable. If you would have handed the ball off to them at least one of those times, maybe you score. It kind of reminds you of the Marshawn Lynch in the Super Bowl, and then they want to throw the ball when you should have just ran the ball in. Pete Carroll's like, let's throw it in the end zone. Yeah. Forget Marshawn Lynch. Let's just throw it in and you lose. And it was kind of like that.
But that's what I'm saying. To your point, I don't think it was so much the issue with Arch in terms of I think it had more so to do with the overall team, and you're not taking advantage of all the talents that you have, and not putting so much on him because he is a young quarterback. And get Matt Patricia. You're talking about a guy who won 3 Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator for the Patriots, and how many times did teams go in there just confused, not necessarily knowing what they're going to do? Because Patricia, learning under Belichick, they do such a good job of morphing their defense to where what you thought you were going to go and see and what you prepare for isn't what you see in the game. And it takes a while to adjust. And that's at a professional level. At a collegiate level, no one's seeing those kind of defenses. So it takes a bit. But to your point, Sarkisian dropped the ball because you got 3 really good running backs, and Baxter, Gibson, and Wisner, and you did not utilize them, especially inside the 5-yard line.
And that
goes on Sarkisian.
And they also gave too much respect to the secondary of Ohio State. It was like they were avoiding throwing the ball to downside and going to the opposite side, and it's like, okay, go at this dude. Let's see how good he really is. Let's challenge him. That's what you do at the college level. You don't hide from him. He's not Deion Sanders over there. It's not one of those kind of cornerbacks over there. Yeah, he's going to be a first-round pick, going to probably be a high first-round pick. But let's make him work. Let's see what he can do. Let's put our best receiver against their best DB, and let's go. Arch Manning, get the ball, make the throws, and let's see what we can do against this guy. They avoided him at all costs during that whole game, going away from him, throwing the ball away from him. And I think he ended up picking a pass off when they did challenge him. So that kind of so that's why we didn't throw it to him.
You can tell Stacey's been playing too much video games.
Oh, baby. Oh, Mark, you have, hey, I don't even play with Texas on the video game. I can't even believe I'm sitting there talking and hyping them up. You know, OU and Texas. Hey, listen, the rival is never dead, bro. Hey, hook 'em horns. Yeah.
Hey, Oklahoma's got Michigan this week.
That's right, baby. Yeah. We've been ready to win the Big Ten, baby. We win this. We beat Ohio State in Ohio State. We beat Notre Dame and Notre Dame. Man, I'm telling you, boy, the Sooners are back, baby. They're back.
Well,
at least this week.
Beware of Bryce Underwood.
Who?
The quarterback.
The freshman quarterback at Michigan.
Oh, we're not worried about him. He's a freshman.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, we got Brent Venables. Brent Venables is just like Matt Patricia, the defense, baby. He going to have some kind of game plan, schemed up, ready to go. Can the quarterback run? Underwood,
yes.
Can he run? Is he fast?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. He might be in trouble.
But you've got a good quarterback, too.
Are they playing in Michigan? Are they playing at Michigan?
No, it's at Oklahoma.
Oh, baby, I'm getting on the private jet. I'm going on the private jet to that game. I'm glad you told me, Mark. I'm glad you told me. I got to call my people. My people going to make sure I get on that plane. I'll be on the sideline, baby. Me and Jerry Punch. Me and Marty, whatever his name is on college game day. I'll be down there with him, baby.
Smith, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be picking
6:30 kickoff.
I'm going to take over Lee Corso's role. I'm going to put on a little headgear, and I'm going to pick the winner of the game, baby. As soon as, baby, I'm going to shoot the gun. Pop, pop, pop. I'm going to shoot that big old rifle, baby. Sooners, baby, by 2 touchdowns.
Stacey's fired up. Hey, Glenn, thanks a lot. We'll look forward to getting your review of Week 1, the Bears against the Vikings next week.
And the Sooners beating Michigan.
All right, there you go. Glenn Morgan.
All right, guys.
Appearing on Give Me the Hot Sauce. All right, Stace, I want to tell the folks that, it still is barbecue season. They can get your great sauces at GimmeTheHotSauce.com. One of my coworkers at Channel 7 had a chance to try it out. Loved the hot sauce.
See, America, this is not, we're not messing around with this hot sauce, okay? I'm trying to tell you, once you open up a bottle of any of these bottles of hot sauce, okay, you are going to say, I need another bottle,
That's
okay?
right.
You're going to want to buy another bottle, another bottle, another bottle. All flavors are awesome. I'm going to tell you something. Go there. You're going to get a discount. Timmy Whispers, he gives you the special discount. I don't know if he went too low. If you ask me, it's too low. But we're doing it for the people. We're doing it for the people. We want to make sure everybody has hot sauce. We ship it worldwide. We ship it to Australia, Spain, France. Baby, we're everywhere, baby. Everybody wants the hot sauce. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're barbecuing, you got a few weeks left.
That's right.
To be out on that grill, get you some of this King's Q. And again, if you're, Mexican, you like the Mexican food, get the salsa verde is awesome. All the flavors are awesome.
Yeah.
And if you like wings, get the 1871 at Dowsell Brothers. Yeah, you get the Dowsell wings with that 1871. Ooh, Lord, you're going to need some milk. Get that boy some milk.
There's fire in the hole.
That's a good one, Mark. Fire in the hole. I like that. That might be our slogan.
Well, hopefully Whispers will be back next week. He'll give you all those codes to make sure you can take advantage of that. We want to thank our guests. Horace Grant was fantastic. Glenn Morgan joining us as well. Bears-Vikings Monday night. We'll have a complete review.
Bear down, baby.
Coming up next week. Until then, Stace.
Drive home safely. Beep, beep.
He didn't come for the massage. He came for the facial.
Don't zoom out. Does anybody know how to post videos to Facebook?
There's a block party. Why didn't get the invitation?
That's a huge three.
Mustard.
Lonzo left alone.
Able to swerve, bend that corner.
That's the last time I'm going to see it. Williams straight on. Giants.